They didn't just cross the line, they buried it in concrete. I'll never forget the moment my wife turned on the kitchen faucet and nothing came out. Not even a drip. We thought maybe there was some maintenance issue, but what we found would spiral into one of the most explosive and outrageous HOA wars this neighborhood had ever seen. And believe me, I've seen some petty stuff from them. But this was criminal. My name's Daniel, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood that, on the surface, looks like a dream. Neat lawns, happy kids, picket fences. The kind of place you work your whole life to move into. But that illusion shatters fast when you're dealing with a power-drunk HOA president named Judith Hensley. A woman who believed she was queen of the block, ruling with a clipboard in one hand and threats in the other. Now for some context, I'm a retired civil engineer. I bought this house with the goal of living out my days in peace with my wife, Ellie, and our old golden retriever, Max. I mind my business, pay my dues, and until recently, I didn't even attend HOA meetings. I figured, let them play little dictatorships. I'll just mow my lawn and be left alone. That all changed when I decided to renovate my front yard. Our lawn was mostly dead from years of sun exposure, and I thought, why not go eco-friendly? So, I designed a beautiful xeriscape setup, stone paths, drought-resistant plants, a rainwater harvesting system. It looked great and saved water. But the second it was done, Judith and her HOA vultures were on my doorstep. You violated Article 4, Section 2 of the HOA guidelines, Judith announced, flipping through her binder like it was the Constitution. Front yards must consist of at least 60% grass coverage. I calmly explained that there was no such clause when we moved in and that I'd gone through the proper permits from the city. She didn't care. This community has standards, she snapped. And you're making us look like a desert trash pile. That was the beginning. Over the next few weeks, we got fines for everything. Having a recycling bin visible from the street, Max barking more than once, and even Ellie's wind chimes being too noisy. I appealed every one of them. And eventually, I started winning. That really ticked Judith off. Now here's where it gets nasty. About a month after the yard drama, Ellie and I woke up to dry taps. I checked the kitchen, bathroom, even the outside spigots. Nothing. No water. My first instinct? Maybe a burst pipe. So I went out to the main valve near the street to inspect it. I dug a little around the access point and was stunned. The pipe had been filled with concrete. Someone had literally poured quickset concrete into our water line. It wasn't a mistake or an accident. It was deliberate sabotage. I stood there staring at it in disbelief. Who does that? I called the city water department. They came out, inspected it, and confirmed my worst fear. Sir, the technician said, shaking his head, this wasn't just your line. You were at the top of the loop. Your line supplies the entire block. This concrete backed up into multiple homes. That's when my phone started blowing up. Angry neighbors. Furious residents. Families with no water, no showers, no toilets. And guess who they blamed? Me. Judith wasted no time. She told everyone it was because of my illegal water system that I had tampered with city lines. I even got a letter from the HOA threatening to sue me for damages to the entire block. Ellie was in tears. We felt like the whole world turned on us overnight. But here's the thing, I may be retired, but I'm not stupid. I started digging. Literally and figuratively. First, I reviewed the water schematics for our neighborhood, something I had access to from my engineering days. I proved without a doubt that the sabotage started exactly where our individual pipe branched off from the main. The concrete originated right there, not from my home. Then I went to my security cameras. Now, I didn't have cameras facing the street, but my neighbor Carl across the way did. Good guy. Vietnam vet. Doesn't like the HOA either. When I explained what was happening, he let me go through his footage. And there it was. 2:47 a.m. Two figures in hoodies, wearing gloves, crouching by my water access point. One of them was clearly shorter and moved with a slight limp. That caught my attention. Why? Because Judith's little HOA enforcer, Ronald, had a bum knee from a skiing accident. I'd seen him limp around on inspection rounds. I took that footage and went straight to the police. At first, they were skeptical. But when I explained that this wasn't just vandalism, it was sabotage that affected the entire water supply, they perked up. Tampering with public utilities is a felony. They took it seriously. Within a week, they got a warrant to search Ronald's garage. Guess what they found? Buckets. Quickset concrete mix. Tools with traces of cement. Even a city water access key which only authorized personnel should have. Ronald was arrested and he sang like a canary. He admitted everything. Said Judith told him to send a message to me for challenging her authority and making her look bad in front of the board. She didn't tell him the pipe was a supply line for the whole block. She just wanted to punish me. That blew the whole thing wide open. The police brought Judith in for questioning. Her smug little empire crumbled in under a day. Turns out this wasn't her first stunt. She had quietly intimidated, fined, and harassed at least 5 other residents over the years, one of whom was a single mom who eventually moved out from the pressure. With the evidence piling up, the city slapped Judith and Ronald with felony charges for vandalism, destruction of public infrastructure, and conspiracy. But it didn't end there. The entire HOA board was called into an emergency vote. And guess what? Under the bylaws, the remaining members could vote to suspend the president. With Judith facing felony charges, the vote was unanimous. She was removed, banned from holding any HOA position ever again, and a special election was held to replace the board. That wasn't enough for me, though. I sued. Not just Judith and Ronald personally, but the HOA as an entity. I had legal grounds. The sabotage affected my property, my water system, and my reputation. And I had evidence, footage, city reports, confessions. My lawyer, a real bulldog named Marissa, filed a civil suit seeking $500,000 in damages. Judith tried to play the victim, claiming she never intended for the damage to go that far. Ronald tried to plea out, but the judge wasn't buying any of it. The court found them liable. Judith lost her home trying to pay the settlement. Ronald ended up serving 6 months and had to complete 1,000 hours of community service, ironically fixing public infrastructure. But the best part? The city ended up installing an upgraded water monitoring system after the incident. Guess who they hired as a consultant? Yep. I now work part-time helping design neighborhood water systems that are safer and tamper-proof. And our new HOA president? Carl, the same neighbor who helped me with the footage. First order of business? Dismantling the fine happy culture Judith built and bringing back community events like cookouts, kids' play days, and neighborhood cleanups. It's funny, they tried to bury me. Literally with concrete. But they didn't know that all they did was give me a foundation to stand on. Our neighborhood is better now. Stronger. And whenever I walk past Judith's old house, I smile. It's rented out now, mostly to college students who throw the occasional party. I don't mind. I just chuckle and think, you filled the wrong pipe, lady. Justice flows like water, and once it breaks through, it floods everything.